Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Hyrule Chronicles. This is the Legend of Zelda Dungeons & Dragons campaign. I'm ArticulateT, the Game Master, and with me as always I have Nether playing Renji Vox.
Good evening, and welcome to the penultimate episode! This will age very well, I'm certain.
We will definitely not somehow find 5 more episodes.
I've been going about the end of this campaign for so long!
Yeah. Playing Hikan Sio and Kakuana, we have Avrdal.
Hello. Good thing I opened up both sheets.
Oh shit.
Playing Zayden Shari, I have RoboPirate.
Hello.
And I have Danny Cat playing Max.
Hello.
So, friends, what happened last time?
A lot of preparation, or at least the starts of a lot of preparation. We first followed Uriel back to his magical machinations, where we rekitted ourselves with some of our old equipment and got some new things, including a book and some nice set of robes and a letter to give to Mr. Kazandas from Zayden and Uriel, I believe. Then
Haagen-Dazs.
we...
A shopping list.
Yes, Haagen-Dazs.
Not to be confused with his neighbor Ben and Jerry.
Oh, I'm sorry, but it has been literally over a decade. For me, it had not occurred that that's so similar.
Which is fine, it's perfectly fine. This is so good.
Almost finished with both campaigns. Finally got you.
Been over a decade
Sometimes.
since you've had their ice cream? That's so sad.
Sometimes things are similar to other things.
Yes.
Yeah.
But we statted out the plan. We went to Masro, figured out that there's nothing there to use plane shift with. We went to the place where we're going to fight and scouted that area and picked a better space. We called for the Spelljammer parts to be brought to that space so that way we could just shift back and forth between places and
Mostly to
Yes.
get to the plane of lament.
yeah, that was about most, if not all, the planning that we accomplished. We did have some other plans, like getting high-level clerics to cast Hallow in the Plane of Lament in an attempt to purify it and to make a mock version of the ritual originally used to seal Nosgridah, but I haven't played that out yet. We haven't played out getting our friends, the Gorons and the Zora, to help us. But yeah, that was about all that happened last time.
Okay. Excellent. So, going to stop the music here. So, as noted from before, the plan, as far as it was concerned, was to pick your battlefield, lure Nosgridah to it while in another plane, then force him into the prime material and fight him that way. Keep him away from the western warfront where most of the bodies that he's likely going to be starting with will manifest themselves. Of course, you've taken care of a lot of the initial stuff. You've found your desired location. You have a number of material that you've acquired from Uriel with more to come. But as you said, there's stuff left to do. So, let's see. Who's doing what in finishing this particular aspect of it? And yeah, so like from what I recall as to where everybody is at this moment in time, Hikan is down by Masro, and Max is near the chosen battlefield where this will take place. I can't recall as to where Renji and Zayden are, or Kai for that matter. So where are people as far as they know, and what is their next plan of action?
I think some people are still in Castletown to deliver the stuff to Das.
Okay.
I'm sleeping.
Kai's yeah, that's fair.
He was very tired.
Yes.
He's gonna wake up a bit later.
He's gonna have a nap.
I'm
Never
gonna mark one
lie.
of these levels of exhaustion
Yes.
off because he's sleeping.
I was saying, but I was muted. If Renji had heard about Zayden having that letter, then Zayden would accompany. Renji would accompany Zayden.
Mhm.
Okay.
And then ask for a trip to Zora's Domain and Death Mountain to talk with folks there, and then possibly a final stop at Kakariko before going to the battlegrounds.
Okay. Seems fair. That's the case. Before we...
Max
Yep.
is gonna stay at the battlegrounds and just
Mhm.
coordinate everything as it shows up.
Okay.
Excellent.
Or try to. He's not very good at it.
Okay. And Hikan?
Max is getting some good practice in. He's going to be better at it.
He's at least got charisma enough to point at things and tell people to do stuff, and they'll do it.
That's called delegation. Yes.
It's just knowing what the right stuff to do is
Yeah.
the problem.
Okay. And Hikan? Where is Hikan headed after looking into Mazro?
I think back to Castletown because that's where everyone is, and you could help run through Castletown to finish up talking with the respective lords to get them to move stuff over there.
Got
Like
it.
Lord Dr. Crane to get the siege weaponry moving.
Sounds good. So, that's the case. Let us start with Zayden and Renji as you make your way through the busy streets of Castletown in the Nobles District, close to where many of the collected temples of Castletown are situated. It's odd in most cases. The news has not been appropriately delivered to the people yet, so there's this odd kind of sense of like so many people around you being unaware of the thing that is coming. As much as you've done in order to try and prepare for it not being anywhere near Castletown, so that they can, the worst that will ever happen is them hearing about it. There's still this odd disconnect, this obliviousness, but. In some cases, as many people may say, ignorance is bliss. It doesn't take you long to get to the collected temples through to Lord Das's estate, which, much like the other estates of the lords and ladies of Hyrule's court, is more or less the same designed mansion as all the other ones is. So you already know the layout by the time you get there. When you get to the door, much as before, there are a couple of guards posted outside. They see you approach. One of them takes a step forward, because I don't think you've ever had to visit Das's estate before this, so they probably don't recognize you immediately. And the one says, "Hello, this is the estate of Lord Cousin Das. Might we help you with something, gentlemen?"
Greetings. We would like, if at all possible, to have a meeting with Lord Das to share a missive and to ask him for his aid.
I see. Do you have an appointment at all?
No, we do not, but it is of national importance.
Yeah, quirks a brow. I
am wearing my very flowing cape, so I feel a little bit exposed. However, my very shiny breastplate both shows the symbol of Hyrule as well as the symbol of the Sheikah underneath. And I do hold up my signet ring that I once had to signify that I am the heir of Nihilus. But then I say, I am Baron Renji Vox. This here is Baron Zayden Shari. Such, we are both members of the Storm's Eye.
Ah, I see. Understood. My apologies for the delay. Please wait a moment.
Not at all.
He opens the door, heads inside. After a few moments, he opens it. He comes back, opening the door fully, stepping aside, saying, "Please step inside. Lord Das will be with you momentarily."
Thank you very much.
You head in.
Right.
Das's estate is very what's the word for it? Minimalistic. Even Simeon, when you were acquainted with him, his estate it had decorations here and there. It was mostly historical artifacts and everything. And you've seen the inside of Rickshaw's estate, which is, well,
bawdy.
Yeah. But this is just like, sure, there is a few symbols or fetishes of Chronica here and there, but everything else is very clean and almost blank. It's clear Das does not exactly have an eye or a care for interior decoration.
Very austere?
Yes. After a few moments, you see Das appear. He's wearing the standard sort of attire of most of the lords. He's a very tall, broadly built man, and despite his age, seems to hold a posture of someone who could very much still go a few rounds if needed. But then again, that's to be expected of a high paladin.
True.
He enters the room. He offers a hand to shake, and says, "It's good to see you this afternoon. I forget the time."
That's quite all right.
A lot is happening, I am sure. How goes
Indeed.
preparations for the situation?
Ongoing, which is actually why we're here. Zayden?
Biden will take out the letter and offer it to him.
Take the letter, examine the cover, turn it over, break the seal, open it, and then begin reading it and say, And there's he kind of examines it cautiously, and then I would say your passive insight, both of you, is enough to catch the kind of the slightly widened eyes as he gets to a certain passage, and then he folds it up again, says, "That is an interesting request. I don't know how well it would go, but certainly. The letter does mention your need for clerics. The best I can offer, as it turns out, we could provide a number of them, but our most powerful clerics are going to be the chaplains. I don't have many that I can offer in turn, but I'm sure that given past familiarity from records that I have seen, Mr. Larson Graves would probably be quite apt, at least.
If he is willing, yes.
Of course. As for this last request, he kind of taps the letter against his hand and says, "Even in times of crisis like this is a holy relic that we're talking about. I'm not sure whether or not the Church of Nehru will be willing to give it up, but as is needs."
Only temporary.
Very well. Allow me to get my coat. We'll head over there now. I might as well be present. And he turns.
That's very kind. Renji has no idea what this relic is, so he's just trying to play this as if he does.
So like, cool, great.
So
Well,
he's
go
not
on
even
with it.
sure if he can offer that it is going to be a temporary thing.
He Das comes back with his coat, and like says, "So, shall we?" And is already heading out the door. He leads you back into the collection of temples and towards the Church of Nehru. Within, there are a number of people who are currently tending to the premises. Some of the acolytes are speaking to citizens and or organizing the shelves and doing a variety of daily tasks. At the altar, I can't remember if you've even spoken to this person before. I don't think you have. Group 1 did, I think, which is why I'm
We
getting
haven't
confused.
delved in to the gods and the faith much.
I know
save
that you've...
for
Yeah.
a little bit with artisanal.
Yeah, well, I know that there was a period of time when you visited the Church of Hylia and you visited the Church of Etheria, but I don't think Nehru's come up. But for the sake of it, at the altar, currently poring over scripture, is a very old, wizened woman, dressed in resplendent vestments, and all holding this kind of like silvery, sort of bluey color. The symbol of Nehru is adorned upon the necklace that she wears. She looks up and smiles as she sees Das and says, "Ah, my Lord Das, to what do we owe the pleasure today?" And Das says, Priest Winterborn, it's nice to see you. These are associates of ours. In fact, they are the Barons, if you can believe it. This would be Renji Vox and Zayden Shari, the Barons of Artemark. And the priestess will look over to you and nod, like bow her head and say, "It is a pleasure."
Incline my head as well, as it is for us.
I suppose you are seeing the sights, getting a taste of the architecture and the antiquity.
Unfortunately, it is not that kind of visit.
Oh, and she'll look back to Das, and Das kind of like nods grimly and says, "It might be best if we were to take this privately." And Winterborn will nod a bit and say, of course, if you would like to follow me, gentlemen." And she'll guide you to a little room off to the side where there are several bookshelves all stacked and a number of scrolls in piles upon different things. Door closes behind all of you as she enters, and she sits down in a chair that's next to a desk and says, "So, tell me, what is it that the Church of Nehru can provide to you today?" And Das will nod a bit and say, "Circumstances are not pleasant at this time. A great darkness is due to make landfall in this kingdom, and given our previous legends, you know the grave, you know the weight of this, I imagine." The priestess kind of seems a little surprised, but nods a bit and says, "Yes, I suppose so. And what is it that you need?" And Das says,
I will defer to him.
Das says, we are in need of borrowing a relic. And he lets it hang for a bit, and then the priestess kind of squints, and then eyes go wide and says, "Is that grave of a situation?" And Dar says, "Yes, I believe it is. I know that this is a difficult thing to provide, but High Cleric Berna was a master of his craft. We would be appreciative of his cane if possible." And the priestess kind of nods a bit. That is a tall order.
We would not ask unless it was absolutely necessary.
Might I be able to inquire as to the nature of this darkness?
Kind of glance over at Lord Das for any indication if he be able or he'd be willing to share this information.
He gives you a nod with the implication of, like, you are more familiar with it than I. You'd be better at explaining it than him.
The incidents over the last few months with the attack on the king, the civil war, the darkness in the west, are all connected to one entity we know as the leader of the Sovereign Hand. It is a sorcerer of great and devastating power that we have attempted to thwart his plan wherever we have found his opposition. Now it has come to the point where he himself is going to take arms up against Hyrule. And as such, we are devising plans to bring him to a place where we can fight him on as equal footing as we can possibly do. As such, we are in process of finding allies wherever we can. And over the last few months, we have attempted and are succeeding in increasing our own strength as a task force. I and Zayden here are part of the Storm's Eye. And we have, so far, struck down the Civil War, or the final vestiges of the rebellion. But this is a task of momentous, magical potency. What we are fighting against is death, or maybe a personification of it in the form of a lich.
You see. Very well. But this does come with the caveat that it does need to come back. I suppose that goes without saying, of course. Given...
Of course.
Well, if you fail it will not matter, but... it is a sacred relic. It being out of the hands of... She pauses. Says... High Cleric Berna was, as far as our records are concerned, the wisest among us. He was able to, with but little effort dissuade violence among even those so predisposed to hatred. To give pause to the vengeful, that is a miracle that very few could accomplish now. If the staff were to be out of our hands for too long, it would cause a schism. But these are desperate times. She stands up, says, "Please follow me." And she'll open the door and head on out, leading you to another door, which heads down a series of stairs into the cellar of this church, where you can find other libraries and sleeping quarters and stuff, but also into a hall in which various different reliquaries are found. The center of which appears to be a staff. This one having a almost shepherd's crook style appearance. It is painted in this lush blue with a gemstone set in the center of the staff, interestingly enough. It is in pride of place in this locale. It has its own pedestal. It is right in the center of the room, and even where you are at the moment, just being within its presence feels calming. She walks over, very gingerly picks up the staff, and turns and says, "This would be it. Cane of Berna. There's very few things like it." Das will then turn and look to Zayden and say, "The letter did mention that you will be the one to hold it."
Yeah. Zayden will reach out to take it.
Yeah.
I figured that would be the case.
Yeah. She hands it over to you. Much like other things, it will take a while for it to attune. But should be in your treasury now. The Cane of Berna.
Oh. That is an interesting one.
Mending, healing word, bless, and color spray without charges. Ooh.
Bunch of free spells.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
It also has the break it in half and it explodes thing.
Oh. Oh no.
I feel they'd be very upset if I broke this in half.
Just
Yeah.
Max and Zayden, both on either sides of Nazradar, snapping the staffs at the same time.
Oh no.
Fuck it.
Yeah, I have to do like a side adventure to explain how they get fixed before Link to the Past happens.
Just get all the bits and burn back together.
Look,
Yeah.
A Link to the Past. The
Just shove it in the head of a dragon, it'll be fine.
low
Time
resolution.
stuff.
It was so low resolution that you couldn't see the bandage around it.
Yeah. Can see all the cracks where it had been like repaired.
Yeah.
I cast mending on it, it's fine, don't worry.
Yeah. The priestess will kind of like give a solemn nod and says, "If there is but anything else that needs to be done, then please do ask of us, and we shall do our best to provide. I hope that Burner's legacy serves you well.
Can we get the wording of Burna's Zone of Armistice?
It is in the journal under player resources in compendium under spells. Bonus Zone of Armistice. A pulse of radiant energy bursts from you, creating an area immune to conflict. The area is a 30-foot radius centered on the caster. Any creature that enters the zone or starts its turn in it must make a charisma saving throw of your spell save DC. On a failed save, the creature must stow their weapon or spell casting focus, or if they can't, they must drop it if able. In addition, the creature cannot make the attack action on its turn or cast a spell that causes any damage or forces a creature to make a saving throw. Pass or fail, any creature inside the area of effect has disadvantage on all attack rolls, including skill checks made to grapple or shove, and it have advantage on saving throws against spells, with the exception of Burner's Zone of Armistice.
That's not bad.
It's 8th level for a
Yay.
reason. It shuts down a combat. It's just no.
Hmm.
Sit down.
Yeah.
Actually, have to add all of these spells to
Mm-hmm.
list.
Yeah.
I haven't done that with any of mine. I'm just gonna Google the spells when I need them,
Mm-hmm.
like the ones that aren't in the side thing.
Seeing
I know
Zidon-
how fireball works.
Yeah. Seeing Zidon hold the staff, I kind of like nod. Range says, it suits you.
Zidon will nod his head, holding onto it.
Das will turn to the two of you and say, well, I suppose I have some contacts to find. Do you have a location as to where you are intending for this battle to take place?
To the northeast.
Imagine this is where Max's message comes in saying that
Mhm.
he's slightly adjusted the location to be closer to the dry ground.
Okay. I will explain to the northeast of Hyrule Castle Town between Drumnick Town and Lon Ranch.
Very well. I shall make sure that when they are ready, they head there as soon as possible.
That is very kind. Thank you.
He nods, and when ready, we'll exit with you from the cellar of the Church of Nehru, and then when outside, we'll make his way to begin gathering people. But yes, I would say after this, there are plenty of opportunities left. There's now that you have the Cane of Burner, what is the plan? Who's the next person you speak to? Do you begin to do diplomacies with the Zora and the Gorons immediately, or are there other people you want to check in with?
Renji was thinking so, but would ask Zidon if he had any ideas.
No, Zidon's happy to go along with you and start to well. You can just patch and sort of saying, this is mostly going to be you.
Fair, but you do add a certain amount of gravitas. And I will admit,
And a big stick.
And it is incredibly useful that you're able to transport us so quickly.
All these things are just like, as you're leaving the Church of Nehru with the Cane of Burner, there's just like all the acolytes and the priests within the church just kind of stop and stare as you walk out with it. Like they don't move to do it, because clearly if you're walking out so casually, you were given it for a reason. But it's like half of them being like, "Wow, this the cane! My word, it's resplendent." The other half are like, "What the hell's going on? Something big must be going down now."
They're gonna fucking use it. Oh
no!
Are we going to have to schedule another council?
And then Das taps him on the shoulder and goes, "Hey, I need you for something."
When you cast a spell from it, do you use your own concentration slot?
I'm led to believe yes. Like it's the item doesn't concentrate
like
for
pearls.
you. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
It's basically just there to expand what spells you can cast. It's just like a stored additional spell list of things that you may not even be able to do inherently by oneself, depending on what spellcast you are. But yes. Okay, so if that's the case, as you prepare to get ready to diplomatize with the Zora and the Goron, I would say it's at this point that Hikan, you have managed to get back to Castletown. You said you wanted to do some running between whoever's left that they need to be coordinated with.
Mooted.
Yes.
Eh.
So I'd be like Lord Dr. Crane, because I know I need to talk to him for siege weaponry, and I don't remember if we need to talk to anyone else.
Okay. Cool. Do you have a sending stone of your own? And if you do, which one is it? Is it the one?
I think
I
the one
do
I've
not.
got, the one I've got's with Renji.
Okay. Renji, do you also have the one that connects to Risha?
I do.
Okay. We'll handle that in a second.
Okay.
Hikan, you make your way through town and you manage to find Dr. Crane's estate. While the bare bones of it is very much the same standard design as every other estate building and grounds that is present within the noble district, it's marred somewhat by the ludicrous number of very hodgepodge additions to the building. It's you can see it quite clearly. Like an additional floor has been made that looks like it's not made from the material or design of the rest of the house. It's also quite loud as you approach. Just a number of the machines and things being added on in turn, or like just constantly going. By the time when you head up to the door, the two guards who have to be there by obligation one of them will step forward and say, "Hello, I don't. Dr. Crane's always busy, but do you have an appointment?" Like yelling over the sounds of machinery in the background.
No, but this is very important. And then Khan just kind of says underneath the din of of all of the machinery, goes, "What would Renji say in this situation?" I am Baron Hikan Sio of the Storm's Eye, and I am here to talk about a matter of grave importance. I think that's it.
I see. One moment. He like turns around, opens the door. The volume just increases as he turns around, closes it again, and muffles it. The other guy just
Those
kind
guys just must have the worst headaches at all times.
It's just tinnitus is part of the job now. The first guy just kind of like doesn't say anything, but he gives you kind of like sorry. As you, after a moment, the door opens again, and Dr. Crane exits. He's just wearing overalls and things, some very practical clothes for the stuff that he works on. Yeah, he peers out, says, "Oh, it's you!" And just kind of like hobbles over, takes your hand, shakes it, says, "How are you today, sir? Let's go somewhere quieter, eh?" And we'll just kind of like. Like he has a look or the expression on his face with like the mild indignity of being in a place that's too loud, even though this is entirely his fault, and it's just leads you away a little bit until the sounds die down slightly. Says, oh dear, well, it's good to see you, my good lad. What what brings you here? The plans are going according to plan, I guess. We have plenty of designs ready to be constructed for conveniently movable ballistae. But I don't know if you have additional requests. What sort of environment are we fighting in? It's very exciting, isn't it? I've never been part of a war of this scale. Oh, dear.
Khan waits patiently for a moment to speak, which probably takes a little while longer.
He does ramble, but you do find a natural stopping point in which you can interject.
Yeah. We're looking at the northeast for the moment, and I don't know how fast we'll be able to construct some of these because we were told that we are on a pretty big time crunch of 4 days.
4 days? Oh.
Yeah.
Well.
Our target's moving faster.
I see. Well, can't be helped, I suppose. He'll kind of turn around. Notice that he hasn't brought any scribe or helper with him at all. He'll look over to the guard who's looking over by the door. He'll frantically wave and say, "Get over here."
Can you write?
The guard wanders over and says,
God, say, no.
"Yes, my lord." He says, "You do me a favor. He'll take Crane will take out a piece of paper, like a fairly sizable scrap, and a pencil, and begin he'll look around for a surface, and then stand behind you, Hikan, and write on your back, and will then turn around and hand this thing to this guard and say, Now, I need you to go and find every possible woodworker and every possible smith who is up for a little bit of an adventure. See if they're able to come along for this one. We'll be sure to provide them an escort to get them away from the battlefield when all is said and done. But hopefully, by the time that we're finished, if it's you said 4 days, yes?
Yes.
Yes. If it's 4 days, then, well, if the designs are appropriate, then we shouldn't have anything to worry about. They'll be back in town a day before everything goes the way it does. But make sure to get some loggers as well, please. See if you can get the he's adding things on as the guard has turned around to find a runner to do all this. And he's just shouting back at him as he goes away. Crane will then turn to you and say, well, I think, as far as I can tell, it would, yes, the ballistae will be fairly small, but they will be able to fire rapidly when needed, and they will be easy enough for most to utilize. We, of course, with the time crunch, if we would do anything bigger, like trebuchets or catapults or anything of that sort, we would need the time and effort in order to do some range finding, and that's a different kettle of fish entirely. But as far as ballistae are concerned, that'll be that. But I can send a note of things. Are there any additional bits of construction that need to be done, sir?
Not that I'm aware of.
Very
Nothing
well.
I can think of.
I'm still waiting for my chap in Death Mountain to finish his reply. It's a very long-winded process. So from the first few sentences that I've managed to get from our little communication machine, he's seems quite enthusiastic. I did mention to look out for one of the 4 of you, whoever turns up there. I don't know if anybody's on their way at the moment, but he'll be sure to mention it to the chief.
Excellent. I'm sure someone will be there before the day's out.
Glorious. Now, I need to make sure that the designs are finalized before I commit them to their purpose, as it were. Good luck to you. You're doing wonders, I'm sure. And he will bow his head and trudge back to the workshop.
It's a nice guy. And then you got him just... I think Hikan will go back to the house to check on everyone there, see Kai sleeping, and then head to Goron Works because he remembered Kai said something about that.
Okay. Sounds good. Okay. In this case, you make your way over to Goron Works. Let's see. Max, for your part, because the plan is only just started, or like coming into fruition.
My current things is finding good spots for like siege stuff and keeping bandits away.
Yeah, that's fair.
Either by scaring them or killing them if they do not wish to leave.
Yeah. That's fine. That's okay. Give me a perception check and an intimidation check.
Perception. 24.
Mm-hmm.
Intimidation. Only 25 because I rolled an 8.
Okay. So with the 24, you get a nice layout of the battlefield. You find a good spot within which you can dedicate yourselves. The battlefield the part of the battlefield that you select seems to be at the bottom of a very shallow basin, but a basin nonetheless. If you can get Nazgradar into the center of that, that means that he is fighting a uphill battle on all directions.
We can line the ballistas up around it.
Yeah. There's not many trees around in case you have extra time and need extra resources in order to construct additional things, and they don't provide any kind of cover. But at the very least, this basin provides you with enough of an advantage that you can keep him down there. As for bandits, there are a few bandits that pop up every so often, just a couple of roving bands of people looking for trouble. With a 25, you don't have to worry about it. Within a few hours, word seems to spread so that by the time another group of bandits even...
There's a fucking dragon living there.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna fuck with that.
Yeah. It's like, you can see, like, after a while, like, word has spread enough that people are just giving, like, from what you can imagine, at the minimum, a quarter-mile circle around where you are.
And if any are like, what? No, I want to see what this fucking dragon guy's about, Max will just fuck him up.
Yeah.
Any of the fucking Skyrim bandits show up, they're gonna die.
Absolutely. But yes, you find yourself just it's admittedly quite like after
whenever I have time to just sit around and wait, Max is gonna be sitting there with some paper trying to like think of how exactly he's going to save Mara.
Okay. That's good. Yes. So, we will swiftly head back to Renji and Zayden. So, where to first, gentlemen?
I was thinking Zora's domain.
Okay. And how are you going to get there?
Zayden!
Let's see, I've got, assuming we don't fight until tomorrow, I've got 5 uses of transport via plant between all my spell slots.
Ah, excellent. Yeah.
So we'd need 1 to go to Zora's, 1 to go from Zora's to the next one, then 1 back would still leave 2 spares.
That's good. Excellent. So,
quick, Renji, follow me through this tree.
What?
So you head through the tree.
Must resist the urge to tell Renji to go through first and not actually cast the spell on the tree.
I have a 25 passive perception.
Oh dear. But yes, you slink through the tree, and nearby, quickly enough, you manage to find yourselves in Zora's domain once again. Much like before, the people here seem completely oblivious to what is about to happen. But otherwise, it seems nice and peaceful.
I think we will head to the palace, I believe is the term.
Yeah. Okay. I just need to remind myself. Ah, there we go. So, you make your way through the winding, climbing streets of Zora's domain. You see a few people who recognize you and kind of offer a wave. They don't like get in your way in any capacity. They don't stop you, but it's just a couple of citizens who have seen you around before just kind of wave or give you a nod as you go by. As you arrive at the palace, you see the guards out front doing their due diligence. One of them walks up to you again and says, "Excuse me, sirs. I would like to know your business with the king, if possible."
We would like to speak with the king on a matter of urgency, and it is to do with a diplomatic communique between Hyrule Castletown and Zora's domain, and a matter that will involve our two peoples.
I see.
It is also a matter of urgency. I am very sorry that we weren't able to bring news earlier, but it is of grave importance.
Very well. One moment. They'll turn, but as they do, within the doorway, you see a familiar face. She looks down and smiles and waves, says, "Ah, Renji, Zidon." This is being Astrid, the quartermaster from your ship. Will kind of totter over and say, "Oh, hello. It's been a while. How are you?"
It has been a while. It's good to see you.
It's good to see you too.
All things considered, we're well. We were hoping to speak with the king on a matter that has to do with the island in a way.
Oh, I see. Very well. Well, she'll turn to the guard and say, and say in Zora, "Forgive me, as I can vouch for these men. They have a matter of grave importance. They should be speaking to King Debon as soon as possible." And the guard will kind of nod and says, "As you wish, Magister. Please proceed inside." And will kind of step aside to allow the three of you into the palace. It's interesting how the architecture here, much like the rest of Zora's domain, is this kind of sweeping sort of very clearly reminiscent of water sort of design. The
Very Art Nouveau.
Very Art Nouveau. It clearly does stand in stark contrast to Hyrule Castletown, which is very stone brick squarish sort of thing compared to this. But you are guided to the throne room, where sitting in a throne where water is just passing past him and flowing out into the rest of Zora's domain, is this gargantuan Zora.
Gotta keep moisturized.
Yeah. who wears a
Can't
long.
can't believe everyone's swimming in the king's butt water.
I will not say that.
But yeah, the wears a long flowing red robe with a prominent crown on his head. And he says, visitors, I was not expecting you. Welcome to the domain. I am King Zor de Bon the 16th. Might I inquire as to your names?
It is an honor to be in your presence, King. I am Renji Vox. My companion here is Zaidan Shari. We are barons of Hyrule, and we have grave tidings. There is a threat, one which comes for Hyrule, and I fear also for your people and the people of Death Mountain, the Gorons, as well.
I see. And what threat is posed, if I may be so bold to inquire?
You are not bold in that respect. The threat has to do with, I believe, this influence has also been felt here, the Sovereign Hand.
He bows his head and closes his eyes. Astrid will look up and say, I can vouch for the certain potency. The islands that I went to research in search of former Magister Donatash. The mere remnants of such evils. It is frightening to behold. And the king will...
As Magister Astrid says, the threat is one sorcerer, an undead sorcerer, a lich, who has been stoking the flames of the civil war in Hyrule for so long as to lay a foundation of death and dead bodies within the kingdom in order to bring it to its knees. We are here both to tell you of the plans that we are making to stop this threat, as well as to ask for your aid.
He will nod slightly. Say, and look up. Say, that is quite the concern. Very well. If that is the case, then, from the information that Astrid has provided unto us, one cannot help that believes that the Zora have some responsibility for this particular problem. Magister Astrid. Astrid will... Yes, Your Highness. I would like you to speak with these people and ask exactly what it is, in what nature of aid we can provide, and then I leave the coordination to such a thing to you. Astrid will bow and say, of course, my liege. Thank you. And we'll turn to you and say, perhaps we shall discuss this in greater detail. And we'll lead you out of the throne room, or proceed to lead you out of the throne room, unless there's anything you needed to ask of the king before departing.
I'd look at Zayden in case I missed anything.
I don't know.
Then we all follow Magister Astrid.
Okay. Excellent. Let's see. So while you do that, remind me, Hikan, what was it that you were going to check on the people in the house, and then
Yep.
You were going to speak to the folks at Goron Works.
Yep, I was just going to see if they had any hot spring water since Kai was asking about it.
Okay. Would you like to do that first?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So, making a quick dash through the city streets in order to get back to Goron Works in the south of the city, in the commercial district, you find that business is in progress. As always, let's see. It's been so long since we visited any of the shops in town. I need to remind myself as to what shops exist here and who runs them. Goron Works. Danik, hello. So, you see Danik, who is currently sitting by his forge. He's currently hammering away on something. He looks up and says, hello. I think I've seen you before, or at least folks you work with. How could I help you today?
I have a Goron buddy over at my house who did a lot of work to give us some news, and he asked about hot spring water and said that you guys might have some.
Ah, I see. Well, we'll see if we can do something about that. And we'll, stand up, and we'll totter over to a series of shelves. He looks over and finds one bottle, which appears to be bubbling with this pleasantly clear water. He says, I think I can provide something like this. Since it's for someone in need, how about 2 gold?
Okay. I will give him the gold.
Thank you. Yeah. Often we get other Gorons in Castletown, I guess. It's a real shame when you're so far away from home, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. Hikan is in Sheikah, which is still understood, but still.
Yeah. Well, tell him not to work too hard, huh? Can't help people if you're too tired or sick or dead, and, well, rest is a vital part of anyone's work. It goes for you, too.
I'll do my best. Thank you.
Of course. You take care now.
And then I'll start heading back to the house.
All right. Yeah. But given how close the house is to the commercial district, it doesn't take you all that long. You arrive back at the house. Heading inside, you see Maxwell is currently sitting in the living room reading. Maximilian is in the kitchen currently, trying his best to cook something. Not necessarily too difficult. It's not the type of thing where if he gets it wrong, the house burns down. It's more of a, if he gets it wrong, it just won't be terribly appetizing. But you can... Does Kai snore?
Yes.
Yeah, so you can definitely hear him snoring wherever he's parked himself to sleep.
Like a distant avalanche.
I was thinking the Goron outside in Majora's Mask on day 2, if you got the room key.
Or
Yeah.
Link Goro.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I will nudge Kai awake and give him the hot spring water. And I don't know if that'll cure the exhaustion, but it'll definitely help him feel more comfortable.
Yeah.
If we're going by Ocarina rules, you just splash it on him, then he jumps up and starts dancing. Yahoo!
I would say, for the sake of it, yeah, it would
Mm-hmm.
get rid of a level of exhaustion.
Nice.
Okay. And then he'll go back to finish his rest, so he's fully not exhausted.
Okay.
And then Hikan will park himself in the kitchen and begin to read, unless anyone needs him for anything, because he has a book that he needs to read.
Gets up, does the little dance, and then immediately just falls back over and starts snoring again.
Oh dear. Yeah. So, trying to recall amounts of times as it goes on. As you begin to sit down and read, meanwhile elsewhere in the city, entering in through the southern gate as time goes on, as the evening sun begins to set in, a Gerudo woman on horseback slowly enters the city. The horse has been running for a really long time, and as much as she would like it to continue onwards to where it could go, it's just like Tyrina at this point in time doesn't know what the plan is, so she just assumes that you would be here. She dismounts, pays the stable hand far more money than is likely due because she is in a hurry, and turns in order to I can't remember if Tyrina knows where the house is.
He does. She's been there once before.
Okay, good. I was like, I'm sure she has been, but it's like,
It was just before we went to the temple.
Yeah. But yeah, she'll make her way to the house. She'll head into she'll knock on the door. I think the only person in there at this point would be Hikan.
Yeah, Hikan will open the door.
And she'll be like, hey, sorry for the surprise visit. It's been a long. It's like you see it. Like she has the helmet off. You can see the bags under her eyes because she started riding more or less the same time that Kai started running. So she had to cover more distance, and it's just the horse. Like she did stop occasionally to make sure the horse didn't die, but it's like she hasn't slept. So she's also kind of so I tried. It didn't pan out. The general's being an ass about it. So I'm here. What's happening? Everything's going in slow motion. A sec. Hold on. And pinches the bridge of her nose.
Have a sit.
Yep. Thank you. Okay. Head over to a chair. She, despite her tiredness, she will have the wherewithal not to just allow herself to drop into a wooden chair while wearing full plate. So it just kind of sits down. It creaks in protest. But it's like, okay. Yeah, I tried. I tried getting the general to provide additional aid, but nothing. She won't budge. She says that our resources are spread too thin and we don't have enough to deal with the problem, and also keep what little we have safe. So she's saying no. So I said fuck it and decided to come here myself because she can make an order, but I ain't following it.
It's fair. You tried. That's all we asked.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. We'll make do. Gun stretches. Okay. So, and then Hikan will get Tyrina caught up on the plan. We don't need to go over it again.
Yeah, that's fine. She goes this
Final Fantasy 14 thing of waving your arms and fading to black.
Yeah.
And then there will be a shopping spree at Uriel for one item.
But yes. Meanwhile,
While explanations are happening.
while explanations are happening, Astrid has been given the lowdown herself. Like, it does a fade to black from Hikan's point of view, and then it re-emerges into Astrid's point of view.
And that is why we're here in Zora's Domain.
From the beginning of one explanation to the end of another.
Yeah. Astrid will kind of nod and say, well, we are better fighters in the water. If it's so landlocked, then there's only so many that we can provide, but we shall. I shall coordinate with our captains, and we shall send a contingent out to aid as best we might. I shall also speak to
more than we could ask for.
I shall speak to some of the other magisters who are more experienced in combat and see what their take is in terms of magical support. But for now, that is. If I can provide anything else, I shall simply add it, and we'll figure it out later. But for now, we'll have to leave it to that. If I'm to do this, then I'm to get started. We're already burning through a day as it is. Is there any other requests that you might have of me?
Just that it is good to see you again. And if we didn't have you to explain things, I'm just glad that we're on the same wavelength.
Of course. Happy to help. You have provided me with an opportunity that I did not think I would be able to have, and, well, this is at least my small way of repaying it. I shall not delay you any further.
Yes, we have other places to attend to as well. Thank you.
She'll nod and turn to begin her work. I
guess Death Mount it is then.
Yeah.
Now, remember, Renji, the only plant that we were able to find there was a bomb plant, so be careful with how you step out.
Oh, yeah. I remember. Flashbacks of Archer Mark.
Grabs percentile dice.
Oh, no. We haven't even planted the death flags yet.
We're getting there, don't worry.
Yeah, it's so good. Oh, dear. But yes, the transition from Zora's Domain to Death Mountain is quite quick. And you're fine. You step out of the bomb plant. There's a moment where you think its natural fuse has been lit, but mercifully, you don't see it go off. And at the very least, if it did, you would have been well out of range of it.
Zidon gets up from the rock boulder he was hiding behind. Okay, all good.
I have prestidigitation. I can snuff out a candle, a torch, or a small campfire. So.
Also, you have evasion. You could
Yeah.
just dodge the explosion.
Oh, but I don't want Sidon to blow up either.
So, evening on Death Mountain. Yeah, most of the as you enter into the greater city of the Gorons, and within these little caves set into the side of the volcano, you see that most instances everything seems to be in full swing. It's entirely possible that a group of people who spend most of their lives underground will always have different circadian rhythms to everybody else, but that's fine. You make your way through the busy city. Where are you headed in particular?
I forgot the name of Lord Dr. Crane's friend.
Let's see. That would be Tagum, who runs the Lodestone Tinkerers.
Yeah, I want to go and talk with him, and then hopefully together we can go to whoever is currently I never really figured out what the governmental structure of the Gorons was.
Whoever's bigger.
Yeah, some kind of chief.
No, because Big Goron's at the top of Death Mountain.
I didn't say biggest, I said bigger.
They're supposed okay.
He could be retired.
Gorons live in a fraternal patriarchy. The Goron leader is usually referred to as Big Brother. In parentheses, affectionate parentheses. But yeah.
Only the broest of bros can be in charge.
Yeah.
Broocracy.
But yes.
A lot of paperwork.
As you head to the Tinkerers, you peer inside and you see sitting behind a haphazardly made rock desk is Tagum, this elderly Goron with this kind of wild tufts of hair that flay out just above by the sides of his head. A pair of goggles with 17 different lenses, just kind of in different configurations, just over his eyes. He looks over to you and peers and says, "Oh, it's you guys. Hi." He lifts up the goggles and says, I've got a message from my buddy in Castletown. He mentions something big."
Yes, this is also why we're here. Would it be possible to speak to your big brother?
Oh, Darunia. Oh, yeah, sure. And he'll pop up and totter over. Unfortunately, I'm
imagining Tagum as being like Doc Brown, but
I had the exact mental image as well.
Okay.
It's like Christopher Lloyd as a Goron.
Wonderful.
1.21 gigawatts. Oh dear.
Yes.
Oh dear. Bill hurriedly kind of gestures you to follow him as he wanders over and says, he was bringing up a number of different things that we were hoping to get done. Unfortunately, I can't provide with the same expediency any kind of large siege weapons, but we are, a steadfast, versatile people. We do what we can. And he kind of thinks a moment and says, "How many hills are in the area?" Just out of curiosity.
A little bit, not too much though. I'm sorry to say.
On the hill right there.
That's why I say some.
Well, you know, can't do our dynamic entry, but that's fine. And yeah, we'll think of something. We'll try and find as many bomb plants as we can to bring on down. Can't go wrong with a big boom, huh? And he'll lead you down into the lower levels of the city until you get to a dwelling, which is very well to do. You don't have to go far inside, as Darunia himself wanders out, towering over all of you, and says, "Oh, welcome back to the city. It's nice to see you. So." What can I do for you today? And Targum looks up and says, "Oh, sir, big brother, they're here about something big and serious and dangerous. If I was intending on helping them out, of course, but they thought it best to speak to you. How about I leave you folks to it? I'll go prepare some things to take care of all these problems, huh?" And he'll turn around and immediately begin, regardless of what anyone ever says to him, he's leaving to go back to his workshop in order to do stuff. He's just gone.
Okay.
And Darunia kind of like quirks a brow and then looks at the two of you and says, "This is going to be one of those things where we're going to have to, is it going to be another one of those, he taps his foot, like
Fate
that
of the world
tower
things?
situation? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
All right, okay.
Nothing much, just the fate of the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No pressure.
Hmm.
Except all of the pressure.
Yeah. All right. Well, if that's the case, then let's get to talking. And he'll kind of sit down. Like, he doesn't even take you anyway. Like, sits down where he's standing in order to let you talk.
Makes sense. I will sit down as well.
Yeah. And
Cross-legged and say, we've been dealing with, well, the tower, as you said, who the person who worked there was part of this organization that was against Hyrule interests, part of the attack against the king, and that organization in turn was part of the influence of who we are now fighting. An undead sorcerer, a lich, who we've encountered before, but did not have to fight yet at that time. But he's given us an ultimatum of a few days, and we're preparing an attack to deal with him once and for all.
And I'm guessing you need a set of strong, swarthy folks with big weapons and big explosions in order to make sure that this gets done right.
Anything you can do to help would be appreciated. Yes.
Okay, well, how about you go ahead and give me a location, and I can take care of the rest.
I quickly, like in the dirt in front of us, draw a quick map of Hyrule Castle Town, Drumnick Town, Lonel Ranch, Kakariko, and then right kind of smack in the dab of the middle. Put
Do you not have illusion skills?
I do not, I believe.
Max has those spells.
I have Eldritch Blast, Mending, Message, Prestidigitation, and Green Flame Blade and Thunderclap. So, no.
Yeah, Max took with the illusion spells.
Okay.
You could make a hand-sized image with prestidigitation.
Yeah, I will kind of like put a little trebuchet on top of my drawing.
Okay. Well, we can't provide much siege weaponry in that time, but what we can do, a lot of us folks here are pretty strong. We'll bring down some additional supplies, raw material if we need any additional raw material. We can probably get there within the time span and have some time to spare. Let's see. What else? What else to do? We'll think of something. We'll think of something in time. But as long as we know where to go, I can take it from here.
Thank you. It is all we can ask for.
Oh. That's the case. And I'll stand up. I'll say, I won't delay you any further. I think it's late, so if you need a place to stay, then of course the inns are available to you. I'll waive the costs this time. This seems fairly urgent from what you have explained.
That is very generous, but I believe we'll be traveling on.
If you insist. Safe travels to you.
Thank you very much. I hope to see you, even despite the circumstances, very soon.
Indeed. You'll part ways. Where are you folks headed now?
Kakariko Village.
Okay.
Captions say Puerto Rico.
That's a bit further than
That's
Kakariko,
a
I think.
bit of a different place.
Yeah.
Might need the Spelljammer for that one.
Mm-hmm.
You prepare to head to Kakariko. Meanwhile, we will cut away from our Castle Town, or cut away from Goron City to get back to Castle Town. Tyrina, having heard the plan, the full rundown and everything, slowly nods. She says, Okay. Right. She looks at the table, goes through her belongings briefly before pulling out a rough map of Hyrule. And after being indicated as to where this actual battle is, she'll squint at it and say, it's about a day's ride or so. Half a day's ride, maybe. I can get there, sure. All right. And she'll kind of like move to stand and says, you need me to speak to Uriel, is it?
Yeah, we can go speak to him real quick. And then you can get some rest because we have a few days and you need rest because you've been writing all night.
She'll like turn and peer out the window, see that it's getting dark and says, and like she actually stands there weighing her options, of which there are only two, but she believes there are three. Being either sleep now, get the sword tomorrow, get the sword now, sleep there later, or get the sword, go to the battleground, sleep at the battleground, which is not an option. It is an option that will not be allowed to her. It says, I think I'll get some sleep now. Maybe get some, like, speak to Uriel first light. I meant what I said. I'm sorry I couldn't do more. it ever since the whole incident that started this thing, I feel like all I've done is either run away from a problem or think I'm helping but actually doing next to nothing. I want to make up for that. I tried doing that by getting some folks to turn up here, but I'm not Renji. I can't talk to people well. I'm not going to give up, though. I learned that much when we were in that tower thing for a few days.
Yeah.
You know I've
We'll
got
get
your
through
back,
this.
right?
Yeah, of course you do. I believe in you. We're gonna get through this. Now, let me help you get out of your armor so you can sleep properly.
Thank you. Yeah, you help her doff her armor, and she finds a suitable spot to sleep in. I would say at this point, Kai has managed to get through what remains of his exhaustion. But whether or not he decides to continue sleeping until the morning comes is up to him. But is there anything either of you wish to do prior to the morning and getting ready to go?
I need to look something up real quick.
Okay.
It's a spell. Who can learn the spell? Oh, only artificers and wizards. Okay.
Where's the spell?
Fabricate. To fabricate the giant ass orbs that we'll need for the mock ritual.
There's other
You
spellcasters.
you could ask Uriel to cast it a bunch to make them, I guess. How
It
long
is
do they
only
last?
4th level. It takes 10 minutes to cast, but
How long do they last?
Says duration instantaneous, but it doesn't say how long it lasts. I think creatures or magic items can be transmuted.
Yeah,
Let's see.
I think they just last forever.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I think it lasts as long as a normal object would. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you made versions of them that looked close enough, then you could just have them. Or just
Yeah.
make them there,
Yeah,
ready to just transport over.
you're basically using magic to, like, the idea is literally that you have all the raw material that you need anyway. It's like you are using magic in order to cut the construction downtime in 10 minutes, so I would say that they would last as long as if you did it by hand.
Yeah. That's what I would like to do, is go to Uriel and ask him about that. If he can do that real quick, as it's getting late, as it's beginning to get late.
Yeah. I will say, in the interest of time, you head over to Uriel. You ask him about it. He says that he'd have to, like, he's got time until the day it happens, but it's like, essentially it would be, what, an hour worth of doing things in order to get stuff sorted. He would need to realign the spells he has in his spell book, but he could certainly do something like that. He'd probably be better if he joined you at the battlefield to do that anyway. Yeah. So he'll put that on the docket and then get back to finishing up the commissions that you guys have put him to doing and combining magic items together and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yes. Yeah. Meanwhile, at the battlefield.
Well, I realized another thing Max is gonna have to do is kill monsters that show up.
Yep. There are a few that turn up. Thankfully, nothing that is of the level of, say, like Lionel or anything. Even though you could probably take a Lionel solo by now. It's
Come at me, bro.
Depends on the color of Lionel. I
yeah.
think.
Um,
The gold one shows up.
That's Hyrule
Might
Chronicles campaign too.
might need another person maybe,
yeah.
or two. And like, I wouldn't want to fight one by myself because you guys would miss out.
But yeah, you how many iterations of the Save Mara plan would you have gone through in a couple of hours? Is Max the type of person to crumple up a piece of paper and then throw it to the side? How big's the pile?
No. It's basically an old journal which is one of the many books he bought at some point, and he's just like filling it up basically,
Okay.
not tearing things out, then throwing them away. Because like, what if I go back and look and like actually this idea was good,
Yeah.
and also I don't want anyone else to know what I'm doing, even though I'm pretty sure no one coming here can read Draconic.
So, what you get as you're sitting there mulling all this over, thinking out the best way in order to liberate Mara from the grip of Nazgradar.
Literally, she's a sword.
Yeah. The thought kind of comes to mind every so often. You have the raw. You may now have the raw power in order to do it.
Just need to make sure I get the actual doing of it right.
Yes. Though there is always going to be that little niggling bit of doubt, because due to Nazgradar's own arcane capabilities.
Need to make sure he's in a state where he can't counterspell me. Because I have one shot. 1 9th level spell slot.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You cast an eye back in a direction towards the west, just as the sun has started to set in that direction. You notice quite easily, just on the edge of the horizon, where the western battlefield would be. That and like parts of the sky don't generate stars. Like it's almost as if someone had like cut out that part of the sky. An ill wind blows from that direction. Despite the clothing that you wear, how seasoned you are as an adventurer and a mage, and how much you've encountered these fiends before, it does send a tiny shiver down your spine. But what takes you by surprise is when a piece of paper hits you in the temple.
Yeah, but
it seems to be in the shape of a paper aeroplane.
I will look in the direction it came from before looking at it.
You don't see anything in the direction it came from.
Keep looking in that direction while picking it up.
Yeah. You pick it up. Nothing seems to be there. Feel free to give me a perception check if you would like to.
Perception. 14.
Okay. Nothing seems out of the ordinary in that direction.
Look at the paper.
Okay. Look at the paper. It's folded into a nice paper airplane. Unfolding it, you notice that there is a handwritten note that simply says, Max, I don't know how this works. I found this in the ruins of a place that simply had the label shop. I hope this gets to you somehow. We have the device. It is on its way to you. Signed, Risha.
Forgot about these things.
It's been a while.
Picks up the sanding sunk out of the round. She's like, Risha's sending the stuff over. She used the paper thing. You hit me in the head.
I don't know if that's supposed to do that.
I mean, it went a long way.
Yeah, fair. I'll get in touch with Risha to tell her that her message was received.
Okay.
Are you okay?
Yeah, it's just yeah, don't worry about it. do the Sandy Sun equivalent of hanging up. And not mention like, yeah, I definitely didn't get completely freaked out by this thing. Attacking me out of nowhere. How dare it?
I think Max got freaked out by the thing. Look, my perception is 25.
Picks up Sandy Stone. No, I didn't.
I'm certain.
Nuh-uh.
Oh, man at shop, we miss you. Oh dear. But yeah, Risha will respond in the affirmative.
I will take the other sending stone and inform her.
Yeah, she'll respond in the affirmative. She's moving with the object now. It's not safe to go at night, but it's like time is of the essence, and
yeah,
she's got a suitable escort with her. It's okay. Yes, you send that just as you arrive in Kakariko. The town is nice and quiet. Everyone has turned in for the night. It is peaceful.
Feels really startling to have this quiet night when Renji knows that there's going to be so much fighting very soon. But with that realization, kind of quiets down, and instead of walking with that determination that he's picked up, he's trying to calm down and make the distance between where they entered this place and his family home more of a leisurely stroll, and try and experience it in a calm mood as well. It has been a while, hasn't it, Zayden?
I'm trying to remember what he did when they last visited here. I suppose, yeah.
I'm sure we can stay over at my parents' place.
You were gonna say mom, weren't you?
Feels weird to say it with folks around. Yeah. I think as we get there, I step up to the porch and knock sharply on the door frame.
After a moment, door slides open, and your mother stands in the doorway. She looks to the both of you and smiles and says, "Oh, it is so good to see you both."
I just hug her.
She hugs you back. Just without
see you
hesitation or surprise, just hugs you back.
Mm-hmm. We've been on the road for a long time today. We've seen Sora's Domain, we've seen Death Mountain, hence the smell.
That is quite a trek. Please, come in.
Thank you. And with practiced ease, I take off my boots and I sit down on the familiar straw mats. Have you heard anything from Dad?
Oh, plenty. I can tell in his writings that he is anxious, but confident. I believe he knows that the right people are on the job.
I need to make a Constitution saving throw. That's a 9. There's a tear coming down.
Oh, my boy. I'm sure that things will go well.
I hope so. There's a lot riding on us. On me. Kind of, I put aspirations hilt on the little table. Just put it there, the iridescent, almost prismatic shard of Imperium clearly visible within the hilt. I'm scared. I'm gonna have to be face to face with an evil greater than ever before. And I know I have my friends by my side. And it's not something that I have to do by myself, but I'm just... What if I fail, Mom? I don't... Failing would mean not just... It would mean the loss of everything.
I have but one question for you.
Renji kind of looks up.
Will you still try?
Of course I will.
She smiles. It is okay to be scared. Remember, my son, Courage is not the absence of fear. It is being to face your fears and carry on anyway. We're all frightened. Every single one of us. But what allows us the courage to continue is knowing that we are not facing this alone, and that there are people in our lives whom we have faith in. I can assure you, from your father's writings, and the fact that you have come this far, our faith in you and your friends is not unfounded. If we fail, if you fail, if anyone fails, that matters little. What matters is that we tried. I know you can do this. I have the utmost faith in your father's judgment, and your father tells me constantly through his writings that he could not imagine anyone else facing this task, and it pains him to see that you have excelled so far past him that he cannot be there to stand side by side with you, and while that won't stop him from trying, he knows that there are things that you can do that he cannot. You will succeed. I know you will.
As she says that, just pull her into an embrace again.
She hugs you
There's
tightly.
a couple of sobs, then kind of remembers himself and wipes his cheeks, his eyes, and I'm sorry. I will get some tea ready. Okay, and kind of gets up and goes into the kitchen, leaving Sidon and Paya. No, it's not Paya. It's different game. Crap! What's his mother's name? I forgot what.
I did try to find it earlier today, and I couldn't. I'm sorry.
Just Renji's mom.
Her name is Mum.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had a name.
Yeah, it's fine. She watches you get up and leave, and then turns to Zayden and says, "Thank you, by the way."
You're welcome.
I wouldn't be a mother if I wasn't scared for my life for him. But like I said to him, I shall say to you, I know that you are able to do this. I have the utmost faith. Just promise me as the oldest within your little group, make sure you all don't overdo it, please, just for the sake of safety and everything.
We will do our utmost to come back safely.
That is all I ask. If you need a place to stay tonight, because I imagine it is quite late, I don't think it would be wise for continued travel, given the current circumstances. But if you need a place to stay, there is an available room here.
Oh, that would be nice.
He nods. And kind of makes idle small talk while Renji goes and prepares the tea. Before we end the session for today, we'll cut ahead a couple of days. Over the course of time here, in this little slice of Hyrule Field, this once barren little divot in the ground steadily becomes a site of an abundance of activity. Max, over the days that you watch as people arrive, you first see a small contingent of soldiers and labourers coming up from Hyrule Castle Town, no doubt followed by Tyrina, Hikan, Uriel, Larson Graves, and a number of clerics, and a number of other folks arrive at the site and, as directed, begin setting up ballistae. They manage to set up about 7 around this little area. There's enough distance between them and the encroaching melee that it'll, at the very least, give enough of a enough range for them to take care of any additional threats that are on hand. Uriel pulls aside several whatever spellcasters he could find in Hyrule Castle Town and begins work on fabricating these orbs to look, at the very least, similar to the ones that were as part of the notes. Shortly thereafter, Renji and Zidane, you arrive, and shortly after you, a small contingent of Gorons walking overland, carrying with them other raw material, a few sacks full of bomb flowers, whatever weaponry that they could have. And then shortly after them would be a number of Zora. Astrid does make her appearance along with a number of Magisters, and they immediately set to task helping Uriel and the others with their fabrication tasks. Half a day later, rushing on horseback is a collection of Hylian soldiers, along with Risha, as they carry in a cart, as delicately as they might, the device from the Spelljammer, the crux of your plan at the moment. With adequate direction, they set it up in close to the middle of this battlefield. Meanwhile, Risha takes charge in coordinating soldiers and troops in various areas, selecting the most accurate among them to man the ballistae, and being sure, as best they might, to provide appropriate support. During this intervening time, Tyrina has taken to practicing her sword swings. Does Kai come with you, by the way? I feel I should ask.
I don't see why he wouldn't.
Nice. So Kai is there too, helping with, I imagine, helping with more of the construction stuff, in addition to tending to people's wounds as a field medic and everything, or making sure people are doing okay. A small camp is set up, as the next few days will require people to stay at the site. The last additional person to make their appearance is Nihilus. He arrives and helps as best he might, working alongside you, Renji, to ensure additional tactical movements and everything to make sure people get in or out as best they can.
I think the first moment that they have an unobserved moment together, Renji just says, "Mom says hi."
He smiles and says, "Thank you."
You tell her too much in her letters.
First you say they're not talking enough, now you say they're talking too much.
Oh dear.
Well, I'm a kid. I can be
Yeah.
inconsistent.
Yeah,
Uh,
funny.
yeah. Then it comes. The dawn of the last day. The dawn of the day upon which, if the plan doesn't go ahead now, if it fails, Nazgradar will manifest within the western battlefields, raise an army from the copious dead that lie underneath the dirt, and march upon Hyrule uncontested. A couple of minutes into the morning, you hear the sound of horses, and looking to the southwest, you see a small contingent of Gerudo. It is a small token force, truth be told. It's smaller than whatever the Gorons or the Zoras are able to offer in their own way. But they have arrived, at the very least. One of them dismounts, heads over to Tyrina, and simply says, "The king sends his regards. We are here to help." Tyrina seems utterly taken aback by this, but recovers herself and directs them along with Risha in order to ensure that they are placed appropriately.
Hikan, pushes his fist against Tyrina's shoulder. See?
Yeah. Yeah. It's mid-morning when everything seems to be in place. The orbs are arranged. Larson looks over the collection of clerics, makes sure they're all ready, looks to all of you, says, "Okay, so just so we're clear as to what we're doing here, we're going to be heading over to that other dimension. We'll start
Correct.
hallowing the ground in order to catch the attention of this thing, and then you'll help drag us all back to here, where we get the advantage."
Yes. Speaking of Uriel, we've been here a while now. Have you been able to see if the Spelljammer has enough power, or do we need to do the same as previously?
It should have enough power to get you one way. Getting back could be a different matter, but I've been informed that you have a reliable method of that.
It does tax us a little.
Well, ways away.
That is true.
Risha will look over the troops and say, "Okay. So, just to be clear, it is the clerics and the four of you. Are you planning on taking anyone else with you?"
I don't think taking anyone else will be just an added risk.
Very well. Tyrina will kind of go over to each of you. She'll hug every one of you in turn. Will hesitate briefly to Max because she knows he doesn't like being hugged.
She notices that Max is just staring at one page of his notebook.
Mm-hmm. Can I tell what is on the notebook?
No.
Because I do not speak or read Draconic.
Also because I want to say it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Oh, next time.
Yep, absolutely fair.
Tomorrow in game.
Yeah.
5 minutes in game.
Yeah.
Five minutes in game. I was like,
Yeah.
Be careful, please. We'll be here when you're ready to bring him back.
We should be back shortly.
Max rereads the few short lines on the page in his notebook one more time, snaps it shut, nods at her, and then walks towards the Spelljammer component.
Okay.
I walk with Max.
as you walk over, Risha will kind of say, "Okay, everyone, back up. Give them some space," and will guide others to effectively evacuate this little area. Yeah, with the device before you, you begin preparations to finish this, and we will end the session there for tonight.
I don't want to wait 2 weeks. Ah!
Thank you, everyone, so much for listening / watching. I have been ArticulateT. This has been The Legend of Zelda Hyrule Chronicles, a D&D 5e campaign, episode 139. With me, as always, I have had Renji Vox, being played by Nether.
This is it.
I have had Hikan Sio and Kaikuana being played by Avrdal.
It'll be fine. We'll do great.
I've had Zayden Shari being played by RoboPirate.
I have a magic stick. They're definitely getting it back.
And I have Max being played by Danny Cat.
No matter what, Max is getting Mara out of there.
Oh, yes.
And we'll see you next time, where it all comes to a close after 7 years. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye now.
Bye.
Bye.